Welcome to Let's Talk Sedalia. This is the 7 minutes news segment with the students. I'm joined with
I'm Emma Brosh.
I'm Parker Brown.
Shin Coolman. And you guys are in CAPS, yeah?
Yeah.
What strands are you guys in?
I'm in the medicine and healthcare strand.
I'm in the engineering and manufacturing strand.
Business and entrepreneurship strand.
So what are strands?
It's basically like different categories of what you want to do. So obviously mine's engineering. So we're housed at Maxion, and you kind of do engineering stuff.
So what have you done that's engineering?
So Maxion has given us projects, and I have chosen to take on one of them. It was a conveyor issue. It was getting clogged up with metal scrap, so they challenged me to fix it.
And has it been successful so far?
So far I've given them the solutions that I've created, and they're beginning to implement them. So any week now we'll see the results of the project.
What about you, Emerson? What does business and entrepreneurship do?
So the business and entrepreneurship strand, obviously a lot of business, like manager positions and stuff with financing, like real estate and finances, stuff like that, as well as, in my experience, making my own business.
So what have you done?
So we've had people come in to talk about businesses, and then me and my friend, we were able to get an official LLC, everything legal, to have a car detailing business, RK Detailing LLC on social media. But we've gotten to develop that, and then we have the whole 2.5 hours to just work on that, which is what we've been doing for the most part.
What about you, Emma?
So with medicine and healthcare, we're either at Bothwell or Katy Trail, and we'll do rotations, which is like job shadowing in different areas. And then we also work on our own projects. And so a project that I'm working on is developing a education program for elementary students, focusing on different healthy habits, including nutrition, mental health, physical health, sleep, and water intake. So just trying to come up with presentations for them and also making it interactive and fun to teach them about different healthy since you guys are
hosted outside of Smith Cotton, would you say it's less of a classroom experience?
100%. I don't feel like I'm in class, and some days I don't even have to go to school. Like, for example, I'm also doing another project that involves making a mount for a deer camera, and last week I wasn't at school the whole day. I went into the woods. We tested it out, so it's not a classroom at all.
I want to say that there's the physical difference from an actual classroom, but then there's also what you actually do in there. You don't get assigned things. You have to figure out what to assign yourself at. And I really like that. It's really different.
Do you feel like your rounds, do you feel like that's like a real like hospital setting, or do you feel like you're like just learning?
Yeah, so we're like shadowing with people who are actually working in the healthcare. So we're either at like the clinics around town or at the actual hospital. So we'll be job shadowing like doctors and nurses and assistants and just seeing what everyone else does.
Do you think these projects have been beneficial to you rather than just sitting in school?
Oh, yeah. Because in a school environment, you don't learn the professionalism that you do in a workforce. And so how to dress, how to talk to people. Like, I learned how to send really professional emails, and I had no clue how to do that before. Because when I email my teacher, I just say exactly what I want, and they email me back. So definitely a lot. It's not necessarily material, but just working with people.
Yeah. So recently, I have not been going to my host sites because I've been so busy with other projects. Like on Thursday, I'm going the entire day. I'll be out of school, going and job shadowing and learning about IT. And I'm like probably at our host site maybe once, twice a week at this point. It's been really nice. I think it's the most beneficial class to take. And there's everything you can think of for anybody. Do you think that you know what you want to do now, like outside of school?
Yeah, for engineering, we've taken multiple tours to a bunch of facilities and factories in Sedalia, and it really gives you a firsthand look of like what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And doing that, I don't want to be a factory worker or in certain fields, but it's been a really good experience to know that it's a possibility, like in Sedalia, jobs I could get. So,
I'd say it was kind of the opposite for me. I started working on like a project involving sports management, which is what I thought I wanted to do. And then kind of learning more about that, I realized I actually didn't want to do that. And then that's whenever I started working on making a car detailing business, and I want to be a business owner now. And I feel like sticking to that for a while.
What about you, Emma?
Honestly, we're about like halfway through our rotations in different areas, and I think it's helping me figure out more what I don't want to do rather than me finding out what I want to do for sure yet, but it's giving me clarity with what I know I don't want to do for sure.
Yeah. I can speak on the same thing. I've had to do a lot of like Adobe work, like with Photoshop and other tools, and it's like I am not a digital media guy. Like I don't do social media posts and stuff, and I didn't know that. I thought it was creative and fun, but like doing it for people, it's like I've learned what I don't want to do. And this podcast actually helped me figure out what I like to do. I like to work with computers, and started with this podcast a lot of computer work, and so it's been really nice. But we're about to wrap up soon. Do you guys have any closing statements?
I just like to say, CAPS, don't get intimidated by it, because we're all learning and it's for everyone. Anything you want to do, you can pretty much learn and do it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Sedalia. I'm Ron Tollner, and in the studio today, which, by the way, we are in the WK Chevrolet studios right here in Sedalia. And with me in the studio today is Mindy Gray. And, well, Mindy, I'll tell you what. I'm going to let you explain a little bit of your history, what you're doing now, and then we'll bring the guys in for a little bit too.
Perfect. Hi. I've lived in Sedalia for about 3 years now, and started at the junior high teaching PLTW courses, and then Michael Wright, came to me and said, "Would you like to teach at the high school PLTW?" So I did that for a year. Started assistant robotics coach, and this year we opened up our CAPS department, and I'm now the digital media and technology CAPS instructor at the high school, as well as the digital media and technology teacher at the high school as a feeder class to our CAPS program. And so that's kind of where I started here in Sedalia, and where I've, hopefully will continue to grow. CAPS has been a great experience so far. And then I have two of our associates with me, Parker and Emerson. I'll let them introduce themselves real quick.
My name is Parker Brown. I'm a senior at Smith Cotton High School, and I've joined CAPS for the first year now, and it's been a great experience.
What strand are you with, Parker?
Part of the engineering strand.
My name is Emerson Coleman. I'm also a senior at Smith Cotton, and I'm on the business and entrepreneurship branch.
Thank you, guys, and everybody. Welcome. And, of course, I'm sure if you're in the audience listening to this program, one of your first questions that's popped up already is, well, what in the dickens is CAPS? So we're going to talk a lot about that in today's episode. And I think what we probably should do first, Mindy, is give a little definition of just what we're talking about.
Okay, so CAPS is actually a nationwide program. It stands for Center for Advanced Professional Studies. Is that close?
That was right.
Good, perfect. And it's really an immersion with the students in our local community, our business partners, our school districts, part of our CAPS program. And the students, which we call associates, are not housed at our high school. They're housed at different business partners. And so, for example, my strand, digital media and technology, my students report every day to either Interstate or to Callis, depending on which day of the week it is. And then they work very closely with the employees at Interstate and at Callis on different projects. Some of them, for example, my student that is running the podcast, his name is Zach. He works very closely with Ron and John on this project. And so they're just immersed in the community and different businesses and have opportunities to work on hands-on real-world projects, work on professional skills, work on a lot of time management because some of these projects are very big and, how am I going to fit this in my 3-hour block, plus do my schoolwork, plus do my after-curricular activities. Some of it's a lot of, learning how to juggle all of those things. Some other examples of CAPS, they get to go and have some tours or some, different experiences that they wouldn't have during school. They've gone to a lot of the industries around town, a lot of businesses, and had tours. They get to meet new professionals, kind of grow their professional network a lot, things that they wouldn't get to see in a school setting. So they're not necessarily sitting in school every day. In fact, none of them, I think, report. Some of the engineering students might report back to school to work on some projects, but for the most part, they are out and about in the community. That's how they gain the most experience.
Well, I remember it was over a year ago when I was having a discussion with Principal Wade Norton and about including the high school in some way with Let's Talk Sedalia. And his eyes kind of lit up that day, and he says, well, I think I have something for you, but it's going to be a while before we get it started. And that something ended up being CAPS, which was really just started at the first of this fall semester. Is that correct?
Kind of a little bit. So when I came to the high school to take over for Michael Wright's engineering classes, he is the director of CAPS. And so he took last year to plan this out, to find all of our host sites, to build those relationships that we have with our business partners and the community around. So it's been going on for a while in the background a little bit. But yes, this is our very first year of CAPS. So yeah, it's newer to Sedalia. And
I recall when I was doing some research into CAPS, I think I was actually out on the website for Smith Cotton doing some of this. But for example, one thing I came across, which I think says a lot, and that was the concept that CAPS provides a professional-based learning and skill development situation, and it encourages the building of an entrepreneurial mindset. And, frankly, with what Parker and Emerson both said in their introductions, it does fall right in line with that.
Yeah, so I'm going to let them talk on the professionalism side of this, and a lot of it goes back to that they are not in school. It kind of changes their mindset as associates. So I'll start with Emerson, and Emerson, talk on the professional side of what CAPS has done for you professional.
So professionally, first thing, dress code. We have to dress nicely every single day. There's that, and then there's also we have to go and talk to a lot of different businesses to get projects or to work on projects, and you have to go in there and I had to learn this, but you have to go in and be professional, I guess.
How you talk, how you communicate with them.
Yeah.
Phone calls, emails.
When you're talking to them, you feel like an employee and not like a high school student, which I know is the goal. Mm-hmm. And I can feel that.
Yeah.
Kind of to go off when you said about emails, I've always known how to send an email, but a professional email is so much different because when you send a one sentence without a greeting, they don't take you serious. And so I've really learned how to have a greeting, how to have a body, a closure, and all of that. And it's really part of the professionalism is earning the respect of other people. Because if you go on there, you don't know what you're talking about. No one wants to listen to a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who doesn't know what they're talking about. So really researching like a business you're going to before you go, that's part of being professional.
A few other terms that I'll throw out at you that I know have a home somewhere in this CAPS process, one of which is the concept of networking. I imagine you probably hear that quite a bit and the importance of that.
Yeah. So we've started giving our associates a base of a network and to start with some like here's a couple names, reach out to them. But we really encourage them to build their own network, to go and reach out and find their own business partners and their own kind of mentors, if you will say, of how to help and engage and expand their projects. For example, like Zach, and I'll speak for him because he's behind the camera right now, but he's running this podcast, and we brainstormed who are some people you can reach out to in our community who've done a podcast or who have ran video equipment. And so he's reached out to a couple. I know Alan from WK has been very helpful to him. And so that's, above and beyond what I have done as an instructor. And that's the goal of CAPS, is to, they kind of get their feet wet on their own and explore. And it's been good for Zach, and, grow their own professional network. So can you speak? Have you grown on your own?
Yeah, I've met a lot of really interesting people through CAPS, and it's not necessarily my teacher saying, hey, here's somebody, because there's been a few, but it's more we're able to go take tours of businesses, look inside of their day-to-day work, and then we have the ability to reach out to people who we find interesting or their jobs interesting and a lot of stuff along those lines. So yeah, it's great for networking.
A few other concepts I know I've heard reference to, and this first one you guys have already addressed, and that is the concept of communication. Mm-hmm. And you've already both talked about how your skills are growing in that area and how there is so much more to it than you might think. Also building skills, which is relevant to what you guys are doing, problem solving, just becoming aware of opportunities that are out there for you. Give just a real quick on your particular CAPS. I forget what you call it.
Strands.
It's a remarkable. I remembered that, but what they each are.
For me, in the engineering strand, we can do company projects for like companies or a passion project. And one thing I've really been passionate about is during football, the season, it gets really hot, especially in the summer, the start, and we're not able to wear helmets because of the heat index. It's just dangerous. So one thing I think is really cool would be a air conditioner for your helmet. It blows air across your face to help you evaporate sweat and cool down. And through CAPS, I'm able to get funding for that project, have time to work on it. I have a CADing software I get to use, and I have helmets that I'm able to borrow to fit my air conditioning inside the helmet to use it in the real world. So that's something that is really amazing with CAPS.
Yeah. Emerson, talk about yours. I know you're quite the businessman at this point.
So the business and entrepreneurship branch is like, business is just a really vague topic in general, because like every company ever has some sort of business aspect. So you really have the flexibility and freedom to kind of do whatever you want, basically. But in my experience, I got really lucky on my first attempt of reaching out to Kyle Middleton in terms of sports management projects. So that's something I looked into. But then there's projects for just people who like want to do other things. There's these two girls who've reached out to like every veterinary office in Pettis County, essentially, trying to get projects from them. There's someone doing forensic psychology and aviation, and
I'll speak real quick on some of since we don't have a digital media or a medical student associate up here. So some of my digital media students' projects, they're working on videos for the school district, and they filmed Dr. Fraley doing his Tiger Talks and organized that. They're working at Interstate on some concept designs for new cards. I have some students back at the school. We use an LMS platform called Canvas, and so they're trying to write new scripts for Canvas and work with the Canvas, which is a nationwide company, working with their employees on writing some new scripts that will help us at Smith Cotton. We have running the musical this year of Wizard of Oz, and so we've worked on their marketing, and I've had a student design the billboard and design the T-shirt for that for that play or the musical that's coming up. So those are some of the that I can really think of that they've worked on and reached out to businesses to help with.
A very broad range.
Yeah.
I came across, I think it was a quote from Principal Norton as this was still in the planning stages, and I thought I would share that. He said, we have been bringing the real world into the school, but that's backwards. And his comment was, that is not real. Real is getting the students out in the community, and that's exactly what you're doing.
So we were living in the Northland, and we had Northland Caps up there, and it was a great opportunity for students. And we moved to Smith Cotton, and I thought, wow, we need this at Smith Cotton. There's a lot of industries here. There's a lot of businesses. It's a great school. And so I was very happy to see that, because I agree. I think what you can do in school is by far different than the opportunities they have outside of school. But still in a school setting, they still have an instructor. We still work very closely one-on-one with them. They're held to some very high standards that they have to complete, and I don't want to say graded on, but scored on. It's been a topic of discussion, but so they are by far gaining a lot of real world experiences that a in school setting cannot totally offer them. We try our best, but we're limited.
So in this inaugural year for CAPS, approximately how many students are involved in it this year?
Putting me on the spot. I think we have an AM session and a PM session for every strand except for digital media and technology. I think there's roughly 90 associates in AM and PM together.
So how'd they get there? I mean, was it in the course catalog, or how did it work?
So Mike Wright and the counselors, all the juniors, the boys can probably talk a little bit more, but they sit in the PAC and they learned about it. I know Mr. Wright went around to different classes, and we handed out little pamphlets of what CAPS is. We talked about it in our classes. We talked about it in robotics. It was just kind of word of mouth, I think, at first. Is it just juniors that sit in the PAC?
I'm pretty sure it was juniors and sophomores, because it's a juniors and seniors thing. So.
Yeah, so juniors and sophomores. Yeah, so you have to be a junior or senior to be accepted to CAPS, and then you go online and you kind of apply. You fill out a form and answer some questions. There's some prerequisite classes you have to take. So that's kind of what the process we're in now is, making sure students are in the right classes that they need to take so they can take CAPS as a junior or senior and aren't missing out on those opportunities.
So is it fair to say that in this process of presenting it out to the students and then students doing the application process, if they want to be a part of it, are there situations where maybe some students it's just not right for?
I cannot personally think of any students that we turned away that it wasn't right for. I know some students got turned away because they hadn't taken the correct classes, especially for medical. You had to take, your prerequisite medical classes. But I can't think of any, that it's not right for. I know transportation, because you're leaving campus, but we've worked out transportation, issues with other associates, and, they get rides or they figure out their own transportation.
Is the program, is it by semester or by year?
We are a year-long class.
Okay.
So it's, the students will be there for a whole year.
And it does obviously provide credits to those who are participating.
Yes. So they get an English credit and then a practical arts credit that they can. And then medical is a little bit different, and they actually are taking medical terminology, and that is they receive a college credit for that.
Excellent.
And that's a separate day. They have a whole day set aside for medical terminology.
And I would again, just what little I have learned about CAPS at this point, I've certainly got an assumption that it is out there for both college-bound students and students that will be joining the workforce after graduation.
Yeah, it's good that you bring that up because I have some in my strand that really aren't sure they want to go to school, but amazing artists, very, very talented. So, we work with ways on how they can use their passion for later on in life. What can you do with this and how can this benefit you later on in life if it's not something you want to go to college for? So it's, yeah, definitely, I would say most of the students are probably college driven or, at least a secondary education driven at some point, but not all of them.
Do students at Whittier have an option to look at this as well?
That is, I would have to defer that question. I don't know that answer.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And I know it also said that at least the hope was to make this program also available to students at smaller schools within the district. Is that still out there?
I think that is. I've heard some, works of, partnering and sharing some of their resources that they have with the resources that we have, such as CAPS and GROTC and some things like that. And again, I know I'm on air. I hope I'm not speaking out, but I think that is the ultimate, kind of goal is we do have this amazing program and we'd like to share it out.
I'm aware that there are other CAPS programs at other high schools, both within Missouri and without. I believe that part of your process or due diligence in getting this thing ready was there was dialogue with other folks to see how they were doing it so as to not waste your time on something else.
Yeah. Like I said, the whole year that Mr. Wright planned this, and was behind the scenes, they went on some visits to Springfield and visited their CAPS program down there. I know we as instructors and Wright, we went up to Cedar Falls, Iowa and visit their CAPS program and learned a lot of things that we really liked. Some things that, we would do different. For example, Cedar Falls only does it as a semester. And there's benefits to that, but we saw the more benefit for our associates to do it as a semester, as a year long. But yeah, they took a lot of time in planning this to make it right and visiting people. We've gone to some conferences this summer and really done a lot of behind the scenes planning to make it the best that it can be for our associates and our school. Made it customizable for Smith Cotton.
One other thing that comes to mind to me is the concept of backing each other up, assisting someone else with their program, just ways to help and be part of a team. And of course, there's an excellent team screen at Smith Cotton, and that robotics program, it is very well known for the collectability and the efforts there and everybody helping each other. Do you guys feel like the same thing can happen with CAPS?
I 100% agree. I mean, there's a lot of what makes that program good is the people leading it and the kids taking what they're saying and implementing it. And similar people are leading this CAPS program. So I really feel like it's definitely a possibility.
And you're working on a collaborative project too, aren't you?
Yes, between multiple CAPS. Yes.
Interesting. So, just as we're getting pretty close to the end of the first semester, I guess there's a little ways to go yet, but what's your feel, and I guess I'm asking you guys this, what's your feel for after you've been in it this long, and after your fellow students have been in it this long and whatever route they decided to take, are you satisfied at this point? Do you think it's leading you in the right direction?
I wouldn't say satisfied because there's so much more I can get out of it, which is a great thing to have. I think it's leading me personally and a lot of the other kids in a great direction because it's given me experience on things that doesn't necessarily help me in college, but in the workforce, it's making my resume look better, and I have very high hopes for what it can bring to me.
Very good. Emerson, what do you think?
So I think up to this point for most kids has just been researching and getting projects without actually doing them. And I think now is the time where people are starting to actually work on them. So I think now is going to be like a really important time for all the initial projects that are being started for the opportunity for people to learn.
Yeah, and you're going to be veterans here in just a couple weeks before you start the next semester. Mindy, obviously, this is kind of one of those deals where, and I know the term is overused, that it takes a village. And of course, you hear that about a lot of things, but I definitely think this falls under that, because it's not just the teachers, it's not just the school, but there's a lot of community assistance on this.
Yeah, there's a lot of community assistance. Even our from Dr. Fraley, our school board, all of our admin, they've all been super supportive. And, it's been a kind of I don't want to say a fear of mine, but I have some associates that are working very closely with some, businesses and that have become their clients. And, you don't want to lose that partnership that you have, because you have a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid who's, working on a project. And so there's lots of talk of, make sure we're communicating, make sure you're asking your clients the right questions. And we do get feedback from the clients, and to make sure, we're kind of on the same page. But it's a whole community village that this is.
So when you talk about getting feedback from the clients, and of course, in this case, I'm equating clients with businesses or organizations that the students are working with.
Yeah.
Is that communication that you all, as, I don't think sponsor is the right word, but
Instructors.
you instructors who are involved with it, so you're having direct communication with those same organizations about how it's gone, or do they recommend something different?
Yep. We have we'll have our associates send them a thank you, email, and ask them to email us back, and we get the email back. It's not necessarily going to the associates, but then, we'll have a conversation with the associates about how it's going, or, kind of some of the feedback we got, put it in a student way. So yeah, it takes a lot, I'm sure, for a business or the community to accept to have these students into their workplace and to give them projects. But so we want to, make sure both parties are happy and keep that line of communication open.
And speaking of parties being happy, again, I'll go back to you guys, Parker and Emerson. I wouldn't be surprised if you all on the student side of this aren't making suggestions to your instructors about how things could be done differently.
Yeah, I think it's a community aspect, but there's businesses are gaining opportunities to have someone with fresh eyes come in and see. Me personally, Maxine on Wheels, I talked about it a little bit earlier. They had a problem with one of their assembly lines, and it would derail and it would shut it down. And every minute that it was shut down would cost them like $200. And then you have to be shut down for 40 minutes a day. That's a lot of money they're losing daily. Well, they tasked me to come try to fix it. And we're implementing that solution that I came up with right now, and it can save, thousands of dollars for them. And they didn't have to pay me for it, but they paid me an experience of learning how to do something and working with the business. So they definitely get stuff out of it as well.
Good. So as far as, do you have group sessions, Mindy, with each of the 4 segments where you kind of circle the wagons and see where things are at, or how is the ongoing organization?
So every Monday, all of us instructors have first hour off, and so we meet at the high school, and we have a Monday morning meeting, a stand-up per se, if you want to call it. We go over our agenda, and then if there's anything during the week that we have to communicate about, it's either text or an email. But yeah, we don't really see each other. I take that back. We have another instructor, Alicia Maggart, who comes around to all of our strands at least once a week, and if any students need her, and she kind of works on the English communication side of it. So she's a good kind of sounding board for the students, for the associates. And she shares an office with Mr. Wright, and he'll come around to all of our strands. So there's always somebody's popping in and helping. And
something you just said results in a question that I hadn't thought about before. But at this point, is this program involving students with English as a second language?
Yes, I have a student as English as a second language. Yes.
Interesting.
Yep.
Really interesting.
Actually, more than one student, but yeah,
Neat.
that I know of personally. Right.
Right. So, we talk, I mean, obviously communication at all levels is a huge deal, and we've hit on various aspects of that. And granted, you're only in your first semester, but has there been discussion or thoughts out there about potentially other pods, I'll call them, to fire up in addition to the 4 that you've got now?
Strands.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there has been talk of adding, more strands, and it's a possibility. I know, like Cedar Falls has an education strand. I can't think of some of the others, but yeah, it's kind of, even though it's a national organization, each school kind of does strands a little bit different based on their community needs, based on their school needs, I think. And so,
Well, I could certainly see where education would be one that fits too.
There's political, there's law, there's, we kind of, as the associates have said, we I have technology in my strand, they're working on coding, and I have digital media in my strand. So we find whatever is interesting for all caps.
Excellent. It's really been interesting learning more about this program, guys, and gal. And really appreciate you joining us on our episode today. I think we in the community will all be looking forward to seeing how this progresses and the many successes that come out of it. And I know also one of the big goals, which is not primary, but by golly, if it works, it works. And that is just how many of you students, once you leave Smith Cotton, can we get back someday, either immediately or after college? Because you're certainly going to know a great deal about this community and how it works for you. So, again, thank you all. Parker and Emerson, thanks for being part of the discussion. Mindy, thanks for coming in and bringing the guys with you. And we look forward to the future.
Yeah, thank you.